The season starts here, the Vancouver Boat Show.
Welcome everyone to the Vancouver International Boat Show virtual seminar series, sponsored by Freedom Marine International Yacht Sales, the premier choice for exploring the passion of yachting. Thank you for joining us. This seminar will begin in one moment. If you're having technical difficulties, you can reach me, the online moderator, via the chat feature at the bottom of your screen. Questions for our speaker can be added in the Q&A box, also at the bottom of your screen. Questions will be answered after the slide presentation. It is our pleasure to present Living the Sailing Dream in lovely Langkawi with Gina De Vere. Over to you, Gina.
Selamat datang, everyone. Welcome to Malaysia, nice warm Malaysia. I want to share with you today all the reasons why I and my husband love to sail in Langkawi, so much so that we've used Langkawi as our base for the past 7 years now. I'm Gina De Vere, as the lady told you. And before we start, I would really like to say thank you to Cynthia in particular, and Heather and the team for enabling me to be here and participate again. I was with you a couple of years ago I seem to recall it was snowing in Vancouver, and I hadn't seen snow for 50 years. I'm also an author of the book Blue Water Women. It was a book to encourage women to make the leap to a life at sea or a career at sea. Now, there are some ladies who are in the book, women sailors from your area, and I think you might know them. So a special hi to Mary Ann Unrau of the Blue Water Cruising Club, Bernie Rice, Beth Cooper, Grit Chu, Amanda Swan Neal, and Gwen Hamlin. I interviewed sailing women from novice to the highly professional, and it's their experiences and their advice that help create the confidence in the cruising life that we have. I'd also like you to meet my French Kiwi, Christian, my husband, who's sitting beside me, and without whom I wouldn't have had the most amazing 16 years of my life. I'd like you to meet Star Dancer, who takes us on these magic carpet rides. As you can see, she is a Gypsy Dufour, and we've owned her now for about 7 years. We had another boat previously when we left New Zealand 16 years ago. We first met her in Australia and then in Papua New Guinea, never thinking that one day she'd be ours. We started our cruising life, as I said, in a steel boat, but when we got to Malaysia, it was just too hot. I was going through menopause, and all I wanted to do was to sit in the fridge all day. And she was built for colder climates where there were compartments and not enough airflow. So we saw that Star Dancer was for sale. And so we flew over to New South Wales and sailed her all the way back again. Now, a brief bit about us, Team Star Dancer. Well, my husband, Christian, I'm very lucky that he is a very experienced sailor, because I had no experience 16 years ago when we left New Zealand. Okay, I'd done my courses, I'd done the radio, the navigation, gone to sailing school, etc. But we were selling the house, subdividing, etc. And I just had no time for any practical experience. So it was a bit of like jumping in the deep end. Christian was a sailing instructor for the government in France. And so I have a great partner in our adventures. On the bottom left, that's us all dressed up in France. And on the bottom right, you'll see us in our biking gear, because if there's one thing we like to do, that is to explore the countries that we're in on motorbike. And we've done a good few thousand kilometers, miles. So where in the world are we now? This is a map that'll show you Malaysia in context with the other countries. Just look at the green bits and you'll see that Malaysia is split into two by the South China Sea. Now, if you go over to the left, where above Indonesia, this is the Riau Straits through here, we've been through a couple of times, and we go up past Singapore, over the equator, past Singapore, which is an island, by the way, just joined by a causeway to Malaysia. So you can't sail through there. You've got to actually sail all the way around Singapore. Up the Malacca Straits, as these are called, past Malacca. Kuala Lumpur is the capital. Ipoh is a very historic town of note. And Georgetown here actually is the main town on an island called Penang Island. And there are majority Chinese Malaysians there. And just north of that, you'll see where I am right now in Langkawi. It looks like Langkawi is joined to Thailand. It is not, but it's only a very short distance. I think something like 5 nautical miles. If you stand in the north of Langkawi, you can see the islands of Thailand. Going further north, that is Bangkok in the Gulf of Thailand, and we've explored Cambodia, Laos, Vietnam by land, and gosh, we only just scratched the surface of it. Going over to the east, what's called East Malaysia, we have sailed from Kuching right the way up to Kota Kinabalu, and this year we're hoping to do the same route from Kuching up to Kota Kinabalu, but around the top this time, and down into Indonesia and across to the Spice Islands. Those are just plans, COVID willing. So now we're going to look at Malaysia as a whole, a few bits of information, and then focus later specifically on Peninsular Malaysia. I'll let you read the general information. I might just explain that Orang Asli are the original tribal people who lived in Malaysia. For example, the Dayaks and the Bugis. It has a history of being owned by different countries because of the trading. There was fierce competition in the Malacca Straits for the trading. And the Portuguese were here first, then the Dutch, then the British, and you can still see the legacy that the British have left because the legislation is pretty much based on English rule. The cars drive on the left. English is mostly spoken as well. And then when the British left because of World War II, the Japanese were there until the end of the war, of course. Malaysia and Singapore were one for a while until 1965 when Singapore became independent itself. We enjoy Malaysia because there's over 100 national parks and there's not a lot of people there. The landscapes are really unique, but most of all, it's about the people. You know, it's the people, I think, that make most countries, and they're so friendly and so open that we were surprised. The culture here is very interesting. I'll let you read the percentages. Going down to family values uppermost, it is obvious that family values are uppermost. The families are large. They are encouraged to be large by the Islamic government. And the children are all brought up with good values and respect. Fridays are the prayer days, so you won't get anything done on a Friday or on a Saturday because that's their weekend. And then we have our weekend on the Sunday, so maybe you'll get something done on Monday. Don't believe that there is no pork here at all. There is, in actual fact, but you have to ask the Chinese where you can locate some. It's not obvious. Uh, Something which we really enjoyed was the temples for all the different religions. And we became a little bit obsessed, I think you could say, with them. Um, on this screen in the center, there we are sitting in a wedding party. Christian and I were over on the east coast of Peninsular Malaysia exploring, and we saw this wonderful big white icing of cake of a beautiful mosque. And we peered in, and there was the wedding party having their photos taken. They saw us, we took off our shoes, they beckoned us in and insisted we sat with them and had our photos taken. It was so nice. On the right, you'll see the interior of a Chinese temple in Penang. Bottom right, there's another Chinese temple. I show you this one because it's just been finished and it's in Langkawi. And when you're here, and I'm sure you will one day, do go and have a look. In the center bottom, that is the Masjid Jamek. It is a huge mosque in the center of Kuala Lumpur. The Malaysians love to abbreviate everything, JB, PD, KL, you name it. And then on the left, there we have another temple. Now to something a bit more practical, the visas, the licenses, and how far your dollar will go. As you come in through the airport or through the harbour master, you will get most likely a 3-month visa. Well, that's the way it was before COVID. At the moment, of course, no foreigners can come in. You have to be out of the country a minimum of 7 days before you can return. We usually make a holiday of that and go vacation somewhere nice, take a motorbike trip. But the good thing about Malaysia is that the boat can stay indefinitely with no import tax. That really is a plus. Driver's licenses, international driver's license is best if you're going to stay here any length of time, and carry your passport ID with you everywhere. Last time I looked, it was 3.4 ringgit to your Canadian dollar. Now, MM2H is an interesting visa. If you put down a certain deposit and you're over 55, I think it is, and have a guaranteed income of 3,000 Canadian dollars monthly, you can get a 10-year visa to stay in Malaysia anywhere you like. Now, onto the transport. Malaysia is a very modern and progressive country. It's full of juxtapositions right next door to each other. But the airports are excellent. And the coaches, I don't know what you call them, bus that takes you place to place, long distance, they're magnificent. We have really enjoyed our long distance traveling. They're very, very comfortable with recliner seats and very squashy sort of fabric. It's very nice and very cheap too. Naturally, there are lots of ports. People move around by ferries a lot, local people, and we do too. We go from Langkawi to Penang quite often on the ferry, right into the center of town for very little money, and 2 hours, I think it takes. There's a train system, cars, we rent cars when we need them, very reasonably priced. And of course, you have to get used to driving on the left. And motorbikes, well, motorbikes are everywhere. You will see scooters here, there, and everywhere, and it's very, very easy and cheap. On the left, that's me in Thailand, and Christian's bike in Thailand on a previous year. Now, the sights to see, as I was talking about the juxtaposition of things, on the top left, that is Petronas Towers. You can't help but see them in the middle of Kuala Lumpur. Petronas is known internationally for supporting Formula One racing. In the middle, this is the Genting Highlands, and I think there are the Genting Highlands and the Cameron Highlands. And the Cameron in particular are renowned for their tea, and this is a picture of the pickers on the Bo tea plantation, and it's quite a lot cooler there there's a ridge of mountains which run from north to south on Peninsular Malaysia. Top right is a traditional Malay house. You do see some still, but a collection of those have been brought by a resort owner in Langkawi. Bon Ton is the name of it. And she has kept them in immaculate condition, and you can stay in those. Bottom right is a heritage house, which has only recently been completed, being restored in Penang. It's called Indigo House, and it's very famous because of its owner, who is now dead and gone, but he was very important then, Mr. Chong Fat Zi, and that's in Penang. Bottom left, festivals. There's always a festival of some sort or other, and you're invited to join in. In fact, they love it if you join in. So wherever you are, east or west, there's always a festival somewhere for you. Now, the caves on the left are called the Nia Caves. They're in Sarawak, over on the other Malaysia, and human remains from 40,000 years ago have been found in those caves. I went to those caves, and it was quite a lot of walking, very steep, up and down steep stairs. You might see some ropes hanging from the ceiling on your screen. That is so that people who are farming the nests, the birds' nests, can shimmy up and down the ropes. There are some birds in there, though I don't think there are very many nests left. Now to the healthcare, and it is healthcare extraordinaire. The local clinics and the dentistry is all of a very, very high standard, and we can't say enough good things about them. Local hospitals too are really very good, but international hospitals abound. We go down to Penang for a checkup every year. We don't have any health insurance, and we can go in the morning at 8 o'clock, have a total top-to-toe checkup, and be out by 1 o'clock, having had a quick lunch and seen the doctor with all the results for only a few $100s. Now, when COVID came, which was last March, we got stuck in Penang. We were buying chain for the anchor. We were amazed at the very prompt action from the Malaysian government in closing everything down, getting all the information out to everybody, police on the streets, masks on, etc. Now, the state of emergency until August is so that the private hotels can be used for COVID care. And we've just been told that there are now free vaccinations for all. And as foreigners who've been trapped here, quite happily, I might say, we are entitled to a free vaccination as well. This is what really makes us happy, is seeing the incredible wildlife. Top left, that is a Brahmini kite, sometimes called a golden eagle, and they are everywhere around the Langkawi area in particular. There's also a white-bellied kite or eagle that you see around the cliffs too. Now, the monkey you see taking the banana, he's a pretty clever monkey. Christian took this photograph at the local gas station. That's a dusky leaf monkey, and normally they're very shy, but this one, he's learnt to knock on the door, and someone will come to the door and either give him a banana, a chocolate bar, or an ice cream, which they love. Buffalo abound. You'll see them in the rice paddies, and there are still lots of rice paddies left, and their milk makes the most delicious mozzarella cheese. Top right, we have the hornbill. Now, where we like to be in Rebak Marina and Langkawi, it's absolutely thick with hornbills, and they are noisy, raucous birds. And as they fly into a tree, you hear them and the whole tree shakes. Bottom right are orangutans. That was the highlight of our year the other year when we went up the river deep into the jungle in Borneo and saw these orangutans in the wild. The most common monkey is the silver langur, which is the one middle bottom. And it's the same type of monkey on the left, but he has a little punk hairdo. Christian took that photo. We so liked the look in his eyes. Now, bottom left, you'll see a monitor lizard. That's actually quite a small one. They can be as big as 5 feet in length, and they look quite alarming, but I think that they're probably more afraid of you than you should be of them. And of course, there are butterflies galore, kingfisher birds, golden orioles. And the other day, I saw, when I was out kayaking, I saw a rock that moved, and it was a wild boar. So that was a bit of a surprise. Now we'll go and have a look at Langkawi. Map of Langkawi here with the Andaman Sea and the Straits of Malacca to the south. It's only a couple of miles to the Peninsula Malaysia on the northwest. And if you go up to the very north, Datai Beach, up around there, you'll see Thailand, not so far away, about 5 nautical miles away. Now, Langkawi is a duty-free island, and it's part of the state of Kedah. There was a Kedah kingdom between 630 and 1136 AD, founded by one Neron Mahawangsa, who claimed he was a descendant of Alexander the Great. Well, who knows? You will see sheer cliffs of limestone, and of course, there's lots to do, including 3 golf courses and so on. But right now, I want to show you the 3 main marinas that I'm going to discuss with you. Towards the south, you'll see Kua. Kua is the capital town. It's just a sprawl of shops and little back streets. Fascinating. You can find everything that you want to repair your boat here. It's where the ferry terminals are, and it's where the Langkawi Yacht Club is. So if you go from Kua and you go southwest, you'll find you pass Pulau Dayang Bunting and all those lovely islands to the south where we like to go and to anchor in among the cliffs and the islands. And it's just beautiful. Go past Porto Malai and up to Pantai Tengah. Pantai means beach. So around there, that's the tourist stretch. That's Beach Chenang. Where the P for Pantai is the island of Rebak. And Rebak Island is one of the marinas that we like to spend most time in. But right now, as I'm talking to you right now, this moment, up above, a bit further north, Kuala Teriang is where the Talaga Marina is. And that's backed by the very sheer cliffs of the Maching Chang Range, about 800 meters high. Carrying on around north, right up to the north, you'll see Datai Beach. That's where there are a few very luxurious hotels and a lovely little anchorage in some weathers. Carry on along north, past Black Sand Beach, and you'll come to my favorite beach, which is Tanjung Ru. So remember that, because we're going to come back to Tanjung Ru later on. And there's some lovely anchorages up and around that area. Now we're going to have a look at Kua Town itself. Kua Town, okay, the latitude and the weather. Now, I took these figures from the website for 2020, and it seems that this year is quite different. It's been very, very windy up till now. And it has been really hot in February, but I think the wind has cooled it down. It says there that the coldest is July. Well, July can be very hot, but it probably is cooler because of the cloud cover, and it is the wet season. Though the rains are heavy, and really heavy sometimes. It's a brief shower, and then it can be sunshine for the rest of the day. I want to take you down to the UNESCO parks. Yes, they say there's 99 islands here, but everybody has a different number, but I think that sounds quite nice. Kua Town. The proper name for the harbour is Bass Harbour, though most people call it Kua Harbour, and that's the magnificent landmark of the Eagle. Now, on the far side of the Eagle is well, it used to be called the Royal Yacht Club. It's the Langkawi Yacht Club, and you'll find immigration, customs, and the Jabberton Mount, the harbour master there. The anchorage, which is where we anchor when we go and do our shopping and provisioning, is free in front of all the magnificent hills. It's very pretty. It's actually a very pretty harbour. Top right, it looks like it should be a mosque, but it isn't. It's actually the Bella Vista Hotel, and you'll see the ferries where they like to anchor, which isn't so far away. On the left, now we've been watching this new landmark being built over the past 6 years, and by the time you get here, it just might be finished. The Langkawi Yacht Club is a fairly recently built yacht club. It is new, it is modern, and it is central to all the supermarkets and repair shops and so on that you could need. There are restaurants and cafes on site and a good chandlery. The little hotel has a pool as well. They've extended the marina now to 200 wet berths. And of course, there are mega yachts here as well. I'll take you through so that you can see the layout of the marina here and the hills behind. So immigration and the harbour master are around to our right. So this is further to the right. And on this side here, there is the immigration's here. And as you walk through the lovely park here, you'll find one of the biggest and best supermarkets. So it really is very handy to everything. Now to our Reback Island Marina. As you can see from the aerial shot, it has a very protected entrance and interior. It's a privately owned island set in 390 acres. It's leased to Vivanta Taj Hotels, and the hotel is around here. And there's my favorite swimming pool is tucked away in here. So the hotel takes about that much space there, and around here, where there are some magnificent walks, by the way. In fact, you can walk all the way over the tops of the islands and come into the marina here. And down the end, you will see there is the hard stand, and it's the only one of the 3 marinas that does have a haul out. Though you can haul out in other places. There are shipyards, and also if your boat is too big. So now going into the island, you'll see there's a little fast ferry coming out. It takes about 9 minutes to go from there through to the mainland of Langkawi here. We like to be berthed somewhere here to get the breezes. If you follow me and you go right the way down to the end, you'll see there are facilities there, the chandlery is there, and this is the haul out facility here, just here, and the space for 70 boats on the hard stand there. Another picture now inside Reback Marina. There is a chandlery just to the left of the boat services. As a yacht in transit, you can order boat parts from anywhere, either yourself or from the chandlery. And it is duty free and it can be delivered right to you. So that's a very big plus. The boat sales next door, SYS Langkawi, is run by a dynamic couple, Rachel and Mark Robertson. Now, Mark is a master shipwright, so he knows everything that you will need to have fixed. He'll be able to help you and get contractors, and you can work on it yourself. Rachel looks after the boat brokerage and has a reputation for being very proactive and professional. Next, we have the haul out facilities. That actually is Star Dancer, our boat here, and that's Christian overseeing the operation being hauled out. And one thing that I find is it's a bonus, is having these tiles or bricks on the ground instead of the normal dust that one finds quite often in boat yards. So that if you're doing some painting, you're not getting covered with dust. Boats 10 to 20 meters, yes. Now, my favorite place is on Rebek Island. We'll start from the left because this is where Star Dancer is birthed. That's Star Dancer there. And this is an impromptu yachty music jam. It's really quite a musical island, and lots of people, lots of yachties bring out their guitars. And on a Friday night, Fred here, he leads the group, and we have a sing-along at the beach bar. And yes, that's my pina colada waiting for me. I love to walk on the beach here, to swim in the sea, and especially the pool, which is tucked away in here, my favorite place down here. Now I'm going to show you some more of my favorites, which is a video which was made for Vivanta Hotel by Taj. And I think it'll give you a good look at not only Rebek, but also Langkawi.
Bullhorn Pictures. tourist island, but it seems to be contained pretty much on one beach, actually. There's a big craft centre on the other side of the island. Back on Rebek. Now we'll go north to Talaga Harbour. And this is the Machinchang Range I was telling you about. And one of the must-do sites is to go on the cable car, which is from the top of this mountain to the top of that mountain. We are anchored just back from here right now as I'm talking to you, because this area we call the pond is actually formed by two man-made islands, sand islands, and I'll show you those when I take you up to the top of the cable car. The entrance to the marina is off to the right here. This is Cock Beach, where there's horse riding and so on. And so we'll have a look a bit closer. This so-called lighthouse is not actually a lighthouse, but it was left behind after a film production crew Well, so the myth goes anyway, and people wanted it to stay there, and they do actually put a light in it, but it's not a proper lighthouse. Inside the marina, want to take your eyes across to the other side. There are lots of little cafes and bars, which are sadly a bit empty at the moment, and a big hotel over there for you. There are no haul-out facilities there, but there are 65 berths and linear tie-ups and 6 mega yacht spaces. Now, the mega yacht spaces are way over in the distance there. As you come up the narrow channel, this is Star Dancer on the right. We are against the fuel dock. Now, you can get your diesel, petrol, water, and fill up there. As you see here, this is the ferry that goes over to Thailand. And this here is the immigration in season, in the tourist season. It's got a beautiful clock, not only to look at, but also to hear. There's a little tune every hour on the hour, which introduces the bonging of the bell. So wakes you up in the morning too. So we were out walking the other day, and this is what passed us. Video?
Yeah.
As I said, there's plenty to do, and here we are up on the cable car. There is a mile-long walk that they've made there as well, so which is pretty steep. The cable car is an amazing feat. It was designed by the Swiss, I believe. But if you look down from the cable down here to those 2 islands, those are the 2 I was talking about, the 2 sand islands. And those are, well, it could be our yacht down there somewhere. And as you can see, all the islands in the distance is very beautiful. At the base of the cable car, there is a little village called Oriental Village, and it's got the usual touristy kind of shops and little eateries, but it's quite quaint, very pretty, in fact. And from there, if you're feeling really fit, you can go up to the Seven Wells waterfall. Now, the first 200 steps aren't so bad. It can get very slippery in wet weather, but then it's another 638 to the top. And I think you'd be needing that swim by the time you got to the top. That's the entry down there. The Butterfly Gardens have just recently opened, and it's a lovely thing to do on a nice sunny day. And then we head north up to Tanjung Ru. Remember, I told you that was my favorite beach. Well, here it is. The sand is as soft as powder, and you can see Thailand really clearly. On the bottom right, there are boats which take you through on mangrove tours, because there are lots of mangroves as well. And that's what the tourists on this area down the bottom are doing in those little boats. They get picked up from here and taken off around the mangroves, but you can't see everything that there is to see. You have to go to the island and tuck in behind, because there are caves and there are sinkholes as well. Because it is the UNESCO park, the Kalim Park, and the limestone casts were formed about 270 million years ago. And as erosion has created the forms, it's created sinkholes and caves to explore. So there's a lot to see. But we love to go to Tanjung Ru Beach to have breakfast underneath the palm trees. And it's very basic, but we can have an omelette and a coffee there for under $3 each. And we're facing Thailand in these pictures here. We share the beach actually with the Four Seasons Hotel, which is away on the left, but there are lovely walks all the way around here. And it's a very special place. So not only do we enjoy street food, and we do, but we also can give ourselves treat time. And that's us on our anniversary. And just giving you an idea that you can go from one extreme to the other quite easily in Langkawi and in Malaysia generally. Here we're celebrating at the Bon Ton a friend's birthday. That's their idea of a tiramisu. It wasn't quite ours, but oh, it was delicious. The Hole in the Wall is a fascinating place, and I think that you'll enjoy going through there. The entrance is tucked away and just wide enough for a catamaran. And as you enter, it opens out. And if you follow my cursor here and you sail down past the mangroves, there is a little opening here. You could easily miss it. Go down there, and that's where the floating village is. And you can have a meal down there. You can actually get a mooring down there if you're lucky. And of course, there's free anchorage up here. So most days here are pure bliss, and it's true, they are, with sunsets to match. I hope that I've inspired you to come and have a look at this part of the world. Southeast Asia is fascinating. There is so much to do that you could sail and travel for many, many years. In one season, you can sail in the wet season to down Peninsular Malaysia and around to Eastern Malaysia and do diving in beautiful clear water. And in the other season, you can go up to Thailand and around, or up and down the coast of Peninsular Malaysia. So there's lots to do. And from a yachty's point of view, it has many benefits. So we'll look now at the advantages of having your sailboat here. English generally spoken, yes, it is, though it's not a difficult language to learn. The living costs are extremely reasonable, probably for us about a third of what it would be back in New Zealand. And the climate is good. It's a hot climate, but it's good. Basically, year-round access to easy sailing conditions, because in the northeast monsoon, as I said, you go down the west coast or up to Thailand, and in the southwest monsoon, you've got access to the east coast of Malaysia and all the countries in the South China Sea and beyond. So you can actually sail all year round for a lifetime, and the boat can stay indefinitely. No import taxes, very nice. And the flight costs, especially with AirAsia, are very reasonable indeed. And it's easy to explore by air and by land. And that you've got top medical expertise, and it's a very friendly country. And we have always felt very safe. And using Langkawi as your duty-free base, you are in transit as a foreign yacht, and your Malaysian address will be care of your marina. Get them to do a letter for you. Boat items can be ordered from anywhere and no import duty payable. I think if you get things from the States, they get West Marine, they can be delivered within a week here, normally, in normal times, that is. The boat sales and the buying market is very active. People come to the end of the road here. They don't want to sail all the way round, and they don't want to go back. And so the prices here are very competitive. It's a great place if you're thinking of buying a boat, either to come and spend time on 6 months of the year and spend the other at home in Canada or wherever, or else to buy here and sail on around. There are great facilities too for the boat maintenance and repairs, both wet berths and hard stands. In fact, everything that you could want, which is the reason why we are here. So before you go on this cruise of your lifetime, buy my book, will you? Because it is 101 for going cruising. For those who have not set off across the oceans, want to know about provisioning, want to know about long-term taking watch, and want to know about visas. The information is not just mine. It also belongs to the 40 women that I interviewed from around the world. And it'll be a good book to have. Now, I want to thank you for your time, and I look forward to your questions. Can I have questions, Maureen?
Yes, Gina. Here I am. So we have a question. Actually, we have a comment from Cynthia. Hi, Gina. Cynthia here.
Hi.
And
Hi,
thank you
Cynthia.
for sharing your stories with us today. So just wanted to let you know.
Oh, that's nice. Hi.
Uh,
Well, I must say, it is such a pleasure to be able to share, because we feel we're in a little paradise here. And having been locked down for COVID here, well, it hasn't been like being locked down at all. Even though we've been here a year, longer than we intended, you couldn't ask to be in a better place. And the people, of course, have become better friends, and it's become more of a big village.
Wonderful. Question from Martin. You mentioned you explore by motorcycle. Do you take something with you or just rent at different locations?
Martin, that's a good one. And it's one very close to my husband's heart. He bought a motorbike here. He took the motorbike, superbike test here in Malaysia. And he used it on his own to do 11,000 kilometers in Thailand. I joined him. I flew up to Chiang Mai and joined him there. But on the whole, like going through Cambodia and Laos and so on, we did rent motorbikes. We didn't rent a motorbike in Vietnam, because I think that they like you to have their own license. But we took buses, amazing buses in Vietnam. But yes, we have biked on all sorts of bikes. We did a long trip recently through to Flores, which is in Indonesia. And Christian went first from Bali. We were both in Bali. And Christian went first, and he went to Lombok, Sumbawa, and through to Flores, to the Komodos. And he took little ferries, and they helped him put the bike on and off. Everybody's so helpful. And there are bikes everywhere, and they'll fix your bike in the street for you. You see people doing repairs sitting on the pavement. So they're used to fixing things when things go wrong. So you wouldn't have to worry. Does that answer your question all right, Martin?
Yeah, I think that's very good. So question from Bruce. Are there any reasonable chartering options to get a flavor of the idea?
Yes, there are chartering options. If you probably have to look online, but where would your best options be? But yes, there's a couple of really good ones. Their names don't spring to my mind, I'm afraid, but you'll find them on the internet. Definitely come, fly over, have a look, have a charter, and then make up your mind. Yes. And if you want any help like that, get in touch with Rachel at SYS Langkawi, and she can help you there. She knows everyone and everything. I hope that helps.
Okay. Wayne asks, what are the quarantine regulations for bringing pets with you to Malaysia? You happen to know?
Interesting, if you're bringing cats on your boat, I don't know if there's quarantines or not. Most people don't. I really don't know the answer to that one. I know that it's not like Australia and New Zealand, where they make you run through lots and lots of hoops. Most people just sort of keep their cats. It's something I can't really answer, I'm afraid.
Okay.
Sorry, Wynne, but I don't think it's difficult.
Yeah. Bruce also asks, is there a language barrier as you move away from the capital or core tourist area?
In Langkawi, because it is a tourist island, even on the outskirts of towns, people speak English. If you're in the middle of the highlands in Peninsular Malaysia, no, they probably don't. And if you're over in Sabah and inland, no, they probably don't. But there are a few words of Indonesian, Malaysian, they're very similar, that we have learnt. And once you open a conversation, somehow or other, we manage to communicate. So no, if you're going hiking somewhere, probably not. But if you're having interactions and communication with other people, yeah, you probably need a little bit of the language.
Okay.
Thank you. Oh, by the way, when with the cat, no, there. My husband said no. He doesn't think there are any problems with bringing your cat in on your boat at all, or dogs. Where we are right now, we've got 5 dogs on the island, and everybody seems to have taken stray cats because there's no restaurants open to feed them, and there are cats on everybody's boats. No one seems to mind or give a hoot, actually.
Okay. We have several questions on the cost of living. So the general cost of living for repairs or labor costs, and then groceries. Like, can you give us a sense of those costs?
Right. Now, I'm not current with the cost of things in Canada, so I can't make a comparison. But I can say that according to our New Zealand dollar, we definitely spend a third of what we would spend. Western foods are more expensive. Now, a small block of cheese is about 18 ring. No, I've got to divide it by 3. Is about $6, and that's imported from Australia. I don't know how that would go with you. Meat is definitely more expensive because it is frozen, and most of that comes from Australia as well. Chicken is cheap. Everybody eats chicken here. It's amazing. Everywhere there's chicken. Fish in the markets or you can just go to a fishing boat and do a deal with them. And we've done some wonderful deals and got buckets of prawns and fish in exchange for a couple of packets of cigarettes that we had.
Yeah.
So the general cost of living as a yachty, if you go into marinas, of course, that's going to cost more. But the marina charges here are a lot less than they are at home. For us, and I have to speak in New Zealand dollars, I'm afraid, it's what I'm used to. We budget on 35 New Zealand dollars a day if we're in a marina, and that includes power and water. Water is very cheap and power is not expensive. So the main expenses would be hauling in and hauling out. And we've just spent, what was it now, 2,000 ringgits on the haul out and the scrub down. And you can get a team to come and scrape for you as well. So again, go to SYS and they'll give you up-to-date costings, but it was not too costly. 2,000 ringgits, I don't know how much that is in your Canadian dollars, but as I say, I divide everything, probably 700 New Zealand dollars for the whole thing. And it's very expertly done and very, very careful, and they've been doing it for quite a long time. Other costs of living, petrol's cheap, diesel's cheap. Anything expensive? Really, alcohol is cheap too. I mean, truly cheap. We can get a large bottle of Bombay Blue Sapphire gin for 50
50 ringgits. That's what, less than $20. And wine from all over the world is about $10 a bottle. So, there are some things which are very, very cheap. But if you go to a Western restaurant and have top class service, then yes, you're going to pay for it, especially in Penang or Kuala Lumpur, which are both very much first world cities. But we eat locally very much all the time. And we haven't once had any problems with digestion or Delhi belly or anything like that. Anything more specific you want to know about with costings?
I think you've covered all of the questions on costs.
Mm-hmm.
We have a question from Wayne. Once checked into Malaysia, are you free to travel from location to location, or do you need to check into each area marina?
You have to not necessarily check in at a marina, but you do have to check in with the local harbour master as you go down the country. So that's really no big deal. But you can free anchor on the way. Say we're going down to Penang. We might anchor for a couple of nights. And then when we get to Penang, we'll anchor or go into the marina, whichever. And the first thing we do is to go and see the Jabatan Laut, the harbour master. That's all.
Okay. James asks, is there worthwhile snorkeling in the region?
The water on this side of Peninsular Malaysia tends to be a bit murky. And there's an island called Pulau Paya, which has snorkeling, but by far and away the best diving and snorkeling is around on the east coast of Peninsular Malaysia. Have a look at the Perhentian Islands. We spent a few weeks there once, and it's breathtaking. It's lovely. Mm-hmm. Lots of turtles, lots of sea life. But this side, not so much. No.
Okay, thank you. Julie, we have a couple minutes. I think one last question here. Julie says, thank you for a great presentation. Are there limitations? Are there limitations on draft to be aware of?
Well, our draft is 2 meters. The tides don't tend to be very high, the difference between them. So you get a good feeling. It's not like in Australia where sometimes there are 12 meters difference. There's usually about, 1 to 2 meters difference only. The anchoring is usually in about 6 to 10 meters. We usually anchor in about 6 to 10 meters of water very easily everywhere. So that's not a problem.
Okay.
If you go sailing in other places where there are volcanoes, like in Sumbawa, that come straight down into the sea, then you need very long anchor chain and rope because it is very, very deep. But no, it's not like that here at all. It's very easy anchoring, actually. Very easy.
Okay, thank you. Actually, one question. I don't know if you can answer this in 30 seconds, but some comments on weather change and potential risks for your boat.
Sorry, I didn't get the first part there.
Okay.
Your internet connection is unstable.
Oh, okay.
I'll ask Chris. Oh, well, can you hear me now?
I can, yes. Yes.
Oh, good.
So just comments on weather change and potential risks for boats.
Right. Well, we only sail in good weather, or, when we can get a good weather window, I must say. Also, you wouldn't be going up against the wind very often here, I would hope. We pretty much hug the coast anyway, going up and down and around Langkawi. The weather is really benign. In the wet season, it can really, really, really rain. So the idea is not to be here in the wet season, but to either park your boat and go back to Canada and sail there or somewhere else, or explore or go on holiday like we do with a motorbike, or you can go down and around Singapore, and then you'll have wonderful weather and access to any of those countries in the South China Sea. Weather has not been a problem. I have to say, I don't like the lightning. There are certain times of the year, changeover seasons, and especially down around Singapore, where there is quite a bit of lightning. And boats we know have had lightning strikes. But that would be the only weather concern. Occasionally there are Sumatras, which are bullets of wind, but as a seasoned sailor, you can cope with that.
Okay. All right.
Yeah,
Well, thank you so
it.
much for answering that last question. Thank you. So thank you, Gina. It was a wonderful presentation. And thank you for joining us today. We are interested in your feedback, either on this seminar or if you have ideas on topics that you would like us to cover in the future. Simply click on the Evaluate tab located just above the seminar description and complete the form. After the show, all attendees will also receive a post-show survey. Be sure to check out all the features at the Vancouver International Boat Show Virtual. If you have a question, check out the info booth. Have a great day at the boat show. And thanks again, Gina.
Thanks. Bye-bye, everyone.